Hello and welcome to Fridays at 4 on twitch.tv/DDO stream. I'm your community manager, Kurt Oven. Thank you for being here. We're going to be hanging out this hour doing some questing. Going to be working on getting myself some cards ahead of an update next week, which from what I hear is going to be increasing a certain card drop rate. I'm going to have some more information about that. Some of the other news, we've got the next season of Hardcore starting next week. We do have a game update next week with Update 65. A free dungeon that you maybe saw get made is going to get released, and a whole lot more. I'm going to go over some of the release notes. I'll have the latest goings-on in the world of Dungeons & Dragons Online, and I'm here to answer your questions to the best of my ability as well. So, thanks for being here. Hope you're having a good weekend. Hope you have a great weekend in DDO. If you got some friends, guildies, enemies you don't mind running with, you can get 10% XP for every additional member in your party, not raid group. This is a buddy boost. Rather than strength in numbers. It's a little confusing for us, maybe a little confusing for you, but our DDO bonus days bonus called the Buddy Weekend is plus 10% XP for every additional member in your party, not raid group. And this is through December 3rd. So through Sunday, you can get up to 50% more XP if you got 5 friends who aren't hirelings. Hirelings don't count. They can still be your friends, but they won't get you extra XP. Speaking of enemies you might just run with anyway. The other thing I would mention real quick, related to news, this happened this week and then happens for realsies again next week. Coin drops for Festival are now underway. As of this week's patch, the coins are starting to appear in dungeons throughout Eberron next week with the release of Update 65. The Jester of Festival will arrive. Well, actually, that's on Thursday, December 7th. Going to stick around until January 14th. The coins end a week early to give you time to turn them in after they end. That runs through January 7th. So Festival, we got new cookies this year. Not all new cookies, but like usual, we swap some in and we swap some out. And what I heard, at least what I saw on the list and saw a picture of that one Steel Star might have been sending around the office. I know of at least one cookie that you are going to want to get. I think that Rezia cookie is going to be hot this year. At the very least, it's going to make you make you laugh. It's going to be a good thing to pull out when you're running with others. Why only Eberron for the coins? It's a lore restriction from my understanding. So the Jester of Festival, even though it's not like official canon, it's part of Eberron. And so the Festival, which is an Eberron holiday by sort of general way that we do things, doesn't happen in the Forgotten Realms. And so that's why coins drop in Eberron. Hardcore and Festival at the same time. That's a good, I don't know that we've actually really had a discussion about should we have Festival on Hardcore, but I think we will. There's no reason not to. I mean, it's the same stuff anyone can get from running whatever. So I would think keeping Festival on Hardcore would be just fine. I think we've done it before, right? Or maybe it was some other festival. I think it was Crystal Cove maybe, but events generally are going to happen on Hardcore. It's just the weekend bonuses that we don't do. No, my cat Lizzie, who was on the noon stream on the Lotro side, interrupted the noon stream on the Lotro side, went back to sleep and has not gone out yet. So, how to escalate a support ticket on missing stat tomes that you say support will not help with. Well, support is there to assist you. Make sure you do have a ticket in with them. And in terms of escalating, well, just reply to the ticket, let them know where you sit on it, and they can advise as best as possible. Any news on Snow Peaks? Snow Peaks usually returns latter half of January, and I think that will be the case here this time as well. Typically runs after Festival begins. How is the 3D printing going? Well, I have to be honest, I've gotten kind of lazy with it. It's hard. 3D printing actually takes skill and talent and time to learn how to do, and I have some, but not all of those things. So I have not used it much, to be honest. All right. I think I'm caught up on chat. All right. So, I don't know the circumstances, Portly Assassin, of your question, so I couldn't tell you why the first ticket was closed. One possibility that I've seen happen is that if it was submitted as a bug report, then bug reports are auto-closed because they're not something that customer service works with you to resolve. Instead, that is a customer service ticket rather than a bug report. And you will submit that through help.standingstonegames.com rather than submit it for whatever it is you submit it as a bug report. Submit it to, like, say, in the case of missing stat tomes, that would be something for the in-game support team. So make sure you didn't submit it as a bug report. Resubmit it if you need to. I can't speak as to the status of your other ticket that you're talking about. I have no idea. But if you're missing stat domes, we should be able to sort that out with you, depending on the circumstances. Real quick, let me put up this on the screen. Got kind of a neat sale happening here this week. This is, what, the second time this has come back now? So a return of the Determine Your Discount sale. You can get up to 30% off now through December 7th. How it works is you will enter this code through redeem code in the DDO store, and that will apply the opportunity to get X% off of the item of your choice. So then when you've selected the item that you want, you're going to click a box saying apply the coupon to this, and then make your purchase. You can do each one, well, 5, 3, or 1 times, depending on the discount that you're getting, and you can find the details about that on DDO.com. It's kind of a hot sale. Only the second time I think it's come back, so probably something you might want to jump on if you are interested. What else? I do have some other things that I can mention, but what else should I bring up before then? Is there anything? Oh, quick programming note. There won't be a Fridays at 4 next week. I'm out of the office. Next week I will be working. We got a lot happening on both games side, but I'm actually taking a trip off to California. Me and someone else on the SSG side are going to be attending sort of a planning and beyond meeting with our publisher at Daybreak, and so we're going to be doing some 2024 planning. Pretty hardcore next week, with the focus not so much on what's going into the game as what we're doing marketing and kind of community and social media and live stream and all sorts of stuff wise. So that's what's happening next week. So if like my sales go up at a time that's a little different than usual, if the bonuses go up at a little time that's different from usual, if some of the downtime notices are a little odd in terms of timing, it's because I'm fitting things in around a meeting and at my hotel and what have you. I'm still working, but I just have it's going to be weird next week. we got like 8 things happening between the two games, and I'm going to be in a hotel and in California. But I also won't be back in time for the show on Friday. Actually, that's a lie. I will be back in time, but I will be traveling at that time. So. How long after using the code do we have to use the discount? My understanding is that the code is active for as long as the sale is. So that would be through December 7th. Nimfin, if you're for real in San Diego, California, maybe you should hit me up. Maybe we could hang out, get some dinner or something sometime this next week. We're going to have a party at my hotel. Every DDO player is invited. No, I'm not kidding. No, I am kidding. Speaking of amazing ideas. I know this is off topic, kind of. But I, for one, think we live in amazing times. When I grew up in the 80s as a little kid, playing Dungeons & Dragons tabletop with my D&D books that were causing a bit of a moral panic at the time, and I think about the way People looked at some of us D&D nerds in the 80s, comic book nerds, video game nerds, and then you fast forward to 2023 and see comic books being the biggest thing in entertainment and movies, the whole world turning into a bunch of total, like, geeks, just into all sorts of stuff. And now the freaking government is printing D&D stamps. I think we won, folks. I think we won. Anyway, how hot is that? Are you kidding me? Isn't that amazing news? This came across last night, and we were like, oh my gosh, are you kidding me? For those who are outside of the United States, by the way, the United States Postal Service sells what are called forever stamps. It used to be back in the day that stamps cost a certain amount, like say 32 cents, and then when they'd up the price of the stamp to 34 cents, they would start selling 2-cent stamps so that you would put 2 stamps on your that's how things worked, right? Anyway, the point is, you could conceivably, if you are a person who has a need to send United States Postal Service stamps, you could buy a lifetime supply of D&D stamps in 2024, and for the rest of your entire life, be sending out D&D stamps with your, I don't know, what do people use stamps for these days? Postcards, holiday cards, the occasional bill. Anyway, I think that's the neatest thing I've seen in a very long time. When that crossed my desk last night, I was like, whoa. D&D stamps, man. D&D stamps. Alright, so what else should I mention? We do have a festival guide on DDO.com. If you don't know how to run Festival, or if you're not familiar with the event, that's something you can check out. The other thing is, I'm not ready to show the Update 65 release notes for you today. There's just too much editing yet to do on them, and a few big question marks in terms of is this in? So I'm not going to go post all the notes up on the screen, but we do have a draft up. It includes the 9th season of the Hardcore League, the free dungeon. This is the one that Nobob was showing off, has been showing off on the Joya Deving, including the one yesterday about VO. That's going to be a free dungeon that debuts with Update 65 called Catastrophe. You're going to be able to find it in the marketplace outside of the gate to House Fjarlin. It's level 4 on Heroic, 34 on Legendary. So that's next week as well. Catastrophe is the name of that one. And yours truly was honored to be able to do the DMVO for it. Also, the Juster Festival arrives next week. And then, as I was hinting at the start of the show, we're going to be increasing the drop rate of the Deck of Many Cards for the Deck of Many Curses. I'm going to let everyone hit that clip button now if you want to. But here's what's up. With Update 65, the number of cards that drop in chests, both the end chests and the optional chests in Pilgrim's Peril, Stolen Power, Horde of the Illithid Controller, and Astral Ambush, aka the Update 64 stuff, it's going to be doubled on all difficulties. The number of cards that drop in chests, both end and optional, and all of the Update 64 quests can be doubling on all difficulties. The end reward lists for Legendary Sagas will be offering cards as an option. The numbers will depend on whether you complete on Normal, Hard, Elite, or True Elite, and are going to be for the sagas, all Legendary, Mists of Ravenloft, Fables of Feywild, Sharn, Cogs, Saltmarsh, Dread, and Vecna. And each one of them is going to offer a specific kind of card, accursed, uncanny, otherworldly, or forbidden. And you'll get 30, 60, 90, or 120 of them, based on completion of the saga, Normal, Hard, Elite, True Elite. At least that's the numbers as they stand on this Friday. We're also doing a fix where a Chronoscope Rewound will be showing up in the Adventure Compendium. Legendary Loot and Chronoscope Rewound will now appear with Update 65 next week, with its proper Mythic and Reaper bonuses. Core 1 and Dire Thaumaturge will provide its max spell points while in Reaper. Fix some like tooltips, typos, a couple of minor quest bug or fixes. We're adding a rest and resurrection shrine to repossession, and we're adding an additional resurrection shrine after the final fight and come out and slay. And then we're messing a little bit with the Dominated Cloud Sentry and Horde of the Illithid. It's no longer going to use its global lightning attack against the party when it's fighting things that aren't the party. And then the global lightning party attack will have a 60-meter range, but its lightning strikes against current targets will continue to be unlimited. So that's a rough state of the Update 65 release notes. There may be a few things added to it. Could be some of the lesser bullet points don't make it into the build or whatever and end up having to get kicked to the next one. But that's the current state of Update 65 here on this Friday. And I think that's it. What we got in game? Let me look at chat here before I do so. My volume is up. We're all good. The answer reportedly to your question of does CS actively sort of adjudicate into the account support forum for the game, the answer is no. It's always been the case that the forum's account support forum are not there to report account support issues. They are there to get help from other players about account support issues. It's often used to try to raise visibility of particular issues to the company and that, so it's not unheard of to just be like, yo, fix my ticket. But no is the answer, and that's by design. The account support forums are not intended to be the place where customer service goes in, discovers your issue, and then resolves it for you. No, I don't believe the cleansing cards are going to see a significant increase in drop rate, although... Let me think about that. No, is the answer, because they're only going into sagas, at least for now.
A new challenge. For win my strength.
So I actually thought maybe I would play the video I did for Bob's show yesterday in its entirety, maybe at the end of the show here today, just for those who didn't see it. It's a little video I recorded doing the VO for the next dungeon. If there's interest in it anyway, I could play it. It's about 7 minutes long or so. 7-8 minutes.
You step through the doors to find a massive chamber before you. Yet the pilgrims are not here. The room is strangely empty, with offerings seemingly abandoned mid-prayer. A solitary man stands off to the side, praying. The corpse has fallen to the ground, leaving the inside. It's as if the lamplight had simply dropped and removed beside it. You blink furiously as you enter the room. Suddenly, you're under attack.
That will work. Why aren't you helping here? Alright. I'm curious, how many, for those of you who feel like putting it in chat, how many decks do you have? Like approximately. Have you been able to make a fair number of decks so far? Are you I mean, the reason we're upping the drop rate is because we've been running the numbers and hearing the feedback, and we're like, well, yeah, we can be a little more generous with it. So we're gonna. But I'm curious, have you been able to largely make what you want? Not make what you want? How's it going for you? Yeah, so I don't have money either, but then I tend to play across a whole bunch of characters on different servers and that, so I'm not, and I've been super duper busy, and have not been able to honestly do a lot of, for funsies, game time. Speaking of being super busy, I should probably mention that I am working on Extra Life. This week, I guess it was Tuesday of this week, I got done with basically all of the individual incentives that I needed to hand out to people who donated to this year's Extra Life charity campaign for the Boston Children's Hospital. And I'm doing the group giveaway drawings in the next 24 hours. And that includes 3 Ultimate Vecna Edition drawings. And so, in the announcement of it, I said after November 30th I'd do the giveaways, and it's now after November 30th, and I'll be getting messages out and do those giveaways in the next 24 hours, then mail people over the weekend. So it'll probably be a day or two before, if you've won, you get your stuff, group incentives or otherwise, but it'll be happening real soon here. Additionally, if you haven't gotten in touch with me, please do. When I actually made an announcement on the forums yesterday that, or not yesterday, but earlier this week, that I had completed all the individual incentives, and if you hadn't done them yet, get in touch with me. And I did get a whole bunch. I got like 30 on the Lotra side and maybe a dozen on the DDO side. So I have like another night's worth of work or so to email everyone all their stuff again. But that's cool. That's fine. And I'll do that. But that means it's, the drawing is going to be maybe a day or so behind, because I want to make sure all the people who donated prior to November 30th are properly eligible to receive the group donation, or the group incentive giveaways. So that's what's up with me related to Extra Life. So if you got your stuff, hope it all worked out. If it didn't, just ping me and I'll get you your replacement. If you're waiting to see if you won a group incentive, that should be handled by the end of the weekend. And this year went really well, man. DDO and Lotra side. It was great. First year I was able to just sort of give everyone codes rather than mail them stuff on the DDO side, and that's nice because it lets you use it however you want. You know, you just apply it on the character and server you want, and then it also means you can give it away too. If, I don't know, want to give a quick holiday gift to a friend or something like that, it works out pretty good for that. So, at least that's what I heard from peeps.
You hear another voice among the combatants. This one.
Now the sword person. So, let's see. What else was I going to mention? It's actually been such a busy week. I hope I'm not missing anything. We're to Update 65 Festival. Got the weekend bonus. Hardcore. Patch notes. Extra Life. Okay, there must be another healer up around here somewhere. Where are you at? There you are. You know, actually, the little bit of news from this afternoon I could mention. We have got, with next week's patch, Nothing is really public facing because like nothing's actually really visible in what we're doing, but we're doing some behind the scenes efficiency work largely with
Before you lies the sanctum
sorry,
of the
let
temple.
me recatch my brain here.
But the door is locked, and there's no
We're doing a
key.
little bit of work related
No
to the
doubt there is
updated
another
store
way to unlock
interface
the
next
door.
week, and there's nothing publicly visible. We're fixing up and working on improving some CS tools, for example, and a few other things that, like I say, nothing's really public exactly, like nothing that would make any sense to you were I to explain it. But we do have a couple of things that we'll be working on subsequently that this work will allow us to do. And one of the things that is on that list of things to do, not for this, deployment, but for the next store update, is we want to be able to give people an opportunity to not have their game account name display in the internal version of the store. This is of particular interest to our live streaming and content creation community that occasionally wants to open a store in a game but not have their name, put up there. And so what this is going to allow us to do is not next week, but in the future, we are moving forward with plans to let you check a box to make that anonymous, and that box will be persistent across sessions. I don't have an ETA on it, but sooner rather than later is ultimately the answer on that. So I don't know on the timing of it, especially because we've got the holidays coming up. It really just kind of is going to depend on when some engineers have the ability to do the work. Maybe something like January, February, something like that. I don't know.
A clear head makes for a sharper swing. That's what I always say.
Chat, other than Reddit, I am the DDO forums. Where else can you find busy discussions of DDO? I would say Twitch is a great example. There's a whole bunch of Twitch streamers that have active communities in their chat rooms. Discord is another really great option. A whole bunch of people on Discord doing DDO related Discords. I've seen on Facebook there's quite a few private Facebook groups in addition to our own page, but a bunch of private Facebook groups that are doing all sorts of things. I see some with thousands of members, so plenty of just kind of like unofficial groups like that, all good options.
This room glitters with mirrors and a single glowing beacon. But before you can deal with this mechanism, you are once again thrown into the
Okay, let me work this out.
Raise on the battle. We're going for Poland later.
Alright, Shield Keeper, Flame Archer, Life Caller. Everyone's got to go down. Let's get live. Okay. Must be another. Or am I missing one? we go. Moonmender. Life Caller. Shield Keeper. There we go. Oh, you know, speaking of things talking about DDO, I would mention that I'm going to be the guest on Drax DDO Players News podcast. We're recording it on Sunday this week. We were going to do it yesterday evening, but just something came up and we had to reschedule for Sunday. So now we're going to be talking DDO and more on Sunday of this week. So if you're interested perhaps in that, there will be a discussion. I believe we're recording 5 p.m. Eastern, so that would be on ddoplayers.com. You'll find a link to where they broadcast the audio show. This is an audio podcast. So that's this Sunday. The idea of gifting is something that we would like to bring back at some point in the future for the game. It's a very complicated subject.
From the direction of the
and
center.
ultimately it is really often comes down to vectors of fraud attack. And as much as we want people to be able to gift, we also need to maintain our own security. And the amount of problems that were caused by gifting when it was around unfortunately made it so that we could no longer support that particular option. But what happened in the past don't mean that it can't happen again in the future. So
You open the door to the sanctum, steeling yourself to face whatever is causing this chaos. Instead, you find Selemus? Clearly, Selemus is not herself. You hesitantly prepare yourself to fight her and the dream controlling her.
Alright, well, what else should we talk about? Talk about the Furiosa trailer. It was, I saw the trailer for the sequel to Fury Road, which is a spin-off done by George Miller and crew of Road Warrior and Beyond fame. Of Babe Pig in the City fame. Came out and it was reminded me, I was like, oh man, back when SSG, back when we were Turbine, owned by Warner Brothers, we would have gotten to see that one for free. Maybe I could have gotten some kind of kick-ass movie poster or something like that. Not anymore though. I wonder if the people at WB Games Boston have a stack of sweet posters in their office. Themed mounts for raid rewards. Well, we have in fact actually done mounts for raid rewards. We have the one in Feywild at the very least, and I think there might be at least one other as well. Is there? I can't remember. At least there's the one in Feywild. So we've actually done. There we go. Copper Festival coin. We've actually done some of that for sure. But I think yes, in general, is the answer. The idea of a mount as a raid reward that would be themed, at least in some way, with the loot of whatever the raid's pack was in, totally seems likely to
I
happen.
guess the ruse is up.
Yeah, Dryad, Hunter, and Isla Dread. Okay. When are end-of-the-year holiday sales? Well, so we just got done with our Black Friday sales this Monday, and in December here, check when I'm not in the middle of fighting a Mind Flayer, but I think next week, maybe week after, we do weekly sales generally throughout the month of December, and so every Thursday there will be a handful of things on deeper, or at least different discount, all sorts of little goodies and things like that we do throughout the month of December. So you could say our end of the year sales start really throughout the month of December and continue that way. But we also do tend to have some like special end of the year sales and things as well. So I would say in general this entire month is going to be full of that kind of fun. So if you're interested, it's a good opportunity to... Where's my sheet? Good opportunity to stock up, and I think we saw a few people do just that here with Black Friday on some of our discounts. You know, honestly, actually, wait a second, is that still on sale? Is it on sale? I have to double check. At one point, we had Astral Shards on sale, right? And if you maybe are planning to purchase something like an airship on the hardcore server, perhaps a pretty significant discount on Mithril might be something you would be interested in. I think that you still have time to get in on it. Unless that was the sale that just ended overnight. IOD is Isle of Tread. I have brought up the desire, your desire and others, Druid's Fire, to put character slots on sale. I've let the store team know that in general there's kind of a little undercurrent of people begging us to do that. So maybe there's something we can do about that. I don't mean begging rudely. I mean just like, what the heck, man? Please. Yep.
Will not save your pure.
So that's the way I always go for the shield keepers first, because you need them to take out basically anything. But sometimes, as you saw here today, I'll go for the wound mender first if I can't overcome the wound mending from the shield person. So I usually go shield, life, wound. That's usually what I do. But if I can see wound first, I may go for them instead. Otherwise, I would just say in general, we've, last couple of weeks we've been pretty busy releasing update 64 and the next week 65. We're working on our holiday sales. We're working, we have been doing some investigation into game performance and some other issues, so that's been happening as well. We're hard at work on 2024 planning, getting what will eventually be public roadmap out there in the form of something like a producer's letter. Whether the producer does it or someone else, don't know yet, but basically a producer's letter, as people understand it. I would expect that not in December. Hopefully in January if we can do it this year. That would be nice. That's the goal.
The Mind Flayer falls to the ground with a thud, and you hear a gasp of recognition and terror from Selimus at what she has done. By defeating the Mind Flayer, you freed Selimus and the other pilgrims under its control. Grateful Selimus resolves to repair the damage done
8, 2, and 2? I'll
and
take
asks
that.
you to inform the
No, 8,
Church
2,
of the
2, and 2?
Silver Flame of what has
Jeez.
happened.
Dev hacks. Do I still do holiday one-shot D&D games? Gosh, I wish I could. This holiday is going to be too busy. That was something I really enjoyed doing when I had a little more free time in my life. I'd love to do one again. I've had so much fun. These are years and years old now. But I had one where I had Flimsy Firewood and his partner at the time running through essentially Nakatomi Plaza. It was Santa and Mrs. Claus attack Nakatomi Plaza. The idea is, a guy named John doesn't make it, and instead it's up to Santa and Mrs. Claus in the form of a barbarian and wizard take care of biz. I did that one year. I did one year where people were in a cabin and it was almost like The Birds or something like that. The old Hitchcock movie. Done a bunch of things. I loved doing them. They were some of my favorite things to come up with D&D campaign-wise. But the last couple of years I've just been too busy. Just no chance. No chance. Maybe again someday. Wasn't there one year I did a zombie turkey outbreak for Thanksgiving? I can't remember when I did that. The hardest thing was finding a D&D grid map that I could use in Fantasy Grounds that would work. Why am I getting zeros? Why am I getting zeros? I think I'm actually talked out. I think you've managed to talk me out. I don't know that I've got anything else to bring up that's not wildly off topic. I've been hunting cards, getting my characters all situated on the different worlds. I think my characters are better off now than they were a year ago across the game worlds. I got a couple of them, some good dinosaur bone crafting, some decent items. I just recently sort of went to every world and picked a main and took a look at what they looked like and what they needed to do. And that all didn't get done, but at least I know what I need to do. That's cool. Trying to see if I could figure out what that buff is that's causing the initial spike of a lack of
An
damage.
alarm sounds and automated defenses come to life. Disabling the shield.
You know a topic? Go ahead. So I guess let me create my own topic that I know has been on people's minds, and that is, you know, we have been seeing the reports about lag over the weekend, like on Orion and elsewhere, and we're looking at it. We've been we had some engineers looking at it this week. We had some tech ops and platform people working on it, and we've had some systems people looking at a few things too that, you know, we've been able to identify as potential things to do to get back some of that game performance improvement that seems to have deteriorated in recent months. So can't promise anything, you know, that we're gonna solve all the problems here, but we at least have a few avenues to pursue, and that's always good. So we're doing that. You would like to see some more mimics. Now, when you say more mimics, you're talking about different kinds of mimics. So, say, rather than always being in chests or something like that, they would be, however. Or are you just saying all sorts of different kinds of mimic chests? Yeah, like mimic bookshelf, mimic tables, chairs. That would be fun. That'd be really cool. Oh, mimic rest shrine. Oh my gosh, that's such a good idea. That's such a good idea.
What do you do? You alert our enemies.
Can I just pass these things? Was there any news from earlier chat? Yeah, a little bit. I went over the Update 65 release notes, talked a little bit about really what's happening inside of the game. start a festival kicking off. I gave, I think, a little bit of a hint that we have at least one Christmas festival cookie that one certain Cordovan certainly finds highly amusing. Talked a little bit about the work we're doing. Oh, I guess I do need to. So yeah, I think the first 20 minutes of the show had probably the most news in it.
With both levers pulled, the security door on the second floor of the main reservoir has been disabled.
Mentioned Extra Life. You know, it's not coming to a close exactly, although generally the end of November is the end of the drive. But I'll continue taking donations for people who really want to, and get you individual incentives for it through the end of the year. But the bulk of the work will be, well, what's already been done. And then the other bit about all the group stuff will be done as of this weekend. Oh, maybe I should have not set you on passive full work. Sorry about that, buddy. Here, let me bring you back up. Alright. Just a note for those who maybe are watching on YouTube and have made it this far into the show. I'm sorry with how long it takes to get the YouTube video up. It's been a lot lately. Like, I'll upload the file, and it'll take almost a couple hours to upload. My bandwidth is fine. I got gigabit internet at home. And then after it's uploaded on YouTube, it's taken like literally 4 to 6 hours of processing to process it all up to 1920 by 1080 and 60 frames a second. It has something to do with moving up from 30 to 60 frames per second on video. When I was 30 frames per second, it would upload really quickly on YouTube, and as soon as I swapped over to 60, it was like, oh my god, what are you doing? And it's taken hours. But I still want to do it anyway, because like 60 frames a second better. So, if you ever wonder, it's like, why did this not go up until Saturday morning? The answer is it didn't. I've had it up since Friday night processing. It just has taken that long for me to get it. It's weird though, it never used to be like that. It used to be actually really quick. And then something happened, where all of a sudden it doubled and tripled in processing time. Some of it is at 60 frames a second, but maybe they're doing something behind the scenes to just kind of help manage all the constant uploading they have and things. So technically, although we are not paying them from the corporate office, I have a YouTube Premium account. And it's proxy linked up through the other page. So I think if Premium were getting me higher upload, I think I'd have it actually. I know some people laugh at me, maybe. Well, I don't think anyone laughs at me, but some people are like, what, you pay for YouTube? Yes, I pay for YouTube. I think it's been great. Not having to deal with 99.8% of all YouTube ads makes it worth it, especially when you have a young child like I have had. I still do, but he's now 12, he's not a little kid anymore. But when he was, you know, very much younger, and like all kids, just YouTube is their TV, the number of ads that he never saw because I was paying that money, over the course of his childhood, made it well worth it to me anyway, in addition to my own benefit. I have a knockdown ability associated with this character, that's why this guy's keeps falling down. So I noticed it's already 5 o'clock here. Somehow I managed to gab my way through the first part of the show and not get to gameplay. I don't have time for this last fight. Normally I might be able to just sort of stick around another 20 minutes and do it or whatever. I don't. I have to go. I have so much that I have to do yet today and this weekend, including the extra life stuff and that I just mentioned. I think I'm gonna head out after this fight. You'll just have to assume that I one-shot all the bosses at the end.
What fine treasures wait inside.
Alright. Yeah, I think that's going to have to wrap it up here. Do I have a link to the video? Do I have a link to the video? I'm not sure what video you're talking about. I'm sorry. Last week's show, you can find that on youtube.com. Oh, the voiceover video. Oh, okay. No, I don't. It hasn't been uploaded separately. It was just broadcast on yesterday's Joy of Deving with Bob Hess. So you can find it there on the YouTube channel, youtube.com/Dungeons and Dragons. youtube.com/Dungeons and Dragons. To hit us up on YouTube. Thanks for watching us on Twitch. I don't have a show next week. Lots of other people do. You can find the full schedule over on twitch.tv/DDOstream. Hope you're having a good time in DDO. Looking forward to update 65. 64 just got released this week. Big weekend in DDO. Hope you're a part of it. Talk to you soon. Bye-bye.